Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop. I am Dr. Lauren here with Healing Touch Chiropractic, and today we are going to talk about the top 5 childhood diagnoses that are truly skyrocketing. And the worst part is that parents have just been told to accept it. That's just the way that things are. But I'm about to flip that script for you because it's not the way that it has to be. So we're just going to hop right in. All right. So the top 5 common diagnoses that we are seeing as just a society, not necessarily here in the office, although I'm going to be honest, we have seen cases of all of these types in the last 6 months. So it is a very common thing that we also see here at Healing Touch Chiropractic. So number 1 is ADHD. This is usually because with people who are sending their kids to either a preschool or a daycare or school, the children are being asked to be still for quite long periods of time, and it's typically the teachers that are bringing it up to the parents that, hey, your kid doesn't sit quite as still as the other kids in the classroom, or they're more disruptive than the other kids in the classroom. You should probably get them checked out. Unless the teacher knows more about ADHD than just being medicated so that they calm down in the classroom and they're being less disruptive for the times that they're in school, the teachers that's just kind of the only way that the parents know to go, is because of what the teachers oftentimes tell them, because they've seen other parents do the same thing with other kids in their classrooms, and they've seen a great change, maybe, in that kid. So they're like, hey, this must work. You should try it with your kid. But that's not the way that it has to be. Kids of any age, if they're having a hard time focusing, it is more than likely because their nervous system is overloaded. The kid's not going to calm down with just medication that's going to mask it for a few hours, and then you have to give them another dose, and then it'll mask it again. One of the reasons that we see ADHD or overstimulated children at Healing Touch Chiropractic here is because we go right to the nervous system. We are going to calm that nervous system. We are going to help calm that child, and we're going to help them feel safe in their own body, which will then translate to less behaviors, whether at home or at school. They are going to be able to focus better. It's really, really awesome. Okay, number 2, anxiety and depression. I was talking with a teacher friend of mine who actually doesn't live in the area at all, and he teaches second graders. He was telling me that he has second graders coming up to him, telling him that their anxiety is really bad today. And then he continues on, and he's like, I didn't even know what the word anxiety was when I was a 7 and 8-year-old. Not even a thing. So one of the things that this is playing a role into is the parents may or may not be telling their children that they have anxiety. They're an anxious person because they themselves may feel or have been diagnosed that they're an anxious person. That is starting an entire generation of someone like strapped to diagnoses. That is not what we want. That is not what we need for the next generations that are coming up, and they will be eventually leading this world. They do not need to be strapped to diagnoses. So, one of the things that we see with anxiety type care plans and diagnoses is we do what is called an HRV. For those of you who don't know or haven't been to Healing Touch Chiropractic, we use a CLA system And the HRV scan is one of the 3 neurological scans that we do on the first visit, and then every re-exam to keep that as something that we keep an eye on and we're tracking throughout care. That HRV scan specifically with our system can tell whether someone is stuck in the fight or flight state and essentially how chronically they've been stuck there, which is also going to give us an idea of how easily their body will be able to recover or repair itself from any type of mental, emotional, physical, or chemical stressors that they may encounter. Again, whether that's unexpectedly, like the loss of a family member or a loved one, or a car accident, or if it's something that they experience every single day, like at work or at school. That gives us a much better idea of where somebody's adaptability is and whether they are stuck in that chronic fight or flight state. And again, that's something that we can track. When we see people coming out of that fight or flight state, huge changes that they notice with themselves on a daily basis or in their kids, which is so incredible. So incredible. All right, number 3. This is one that with where we're at with the season changes is one that we're seeing a ton, and that is allergies and or asthma. We started seeing is he 7? I think this kid is 7, and he was diagnosed with asthma at a young age, maybe 3, I want to say it was. So he's been on rescue inhalers, and he's got nebulizer treatments at home, all the things to obviously help him keep breathing, because that's important, yes. But that wasn't even the main purpose that they came to see us. They came to see us for more of the behavioral side of things. And the fact that he had no longer needed to use his inhaler after 2 to 3 months of care, when they finally realized that they haven't used it in a while or done any nebulizer treatments, they were like, whoa, I didn't realize that chiropractic could help with asthma symptoms. Yeah, it does. So we've seen plenty of people getting off of a rescue inhaler or like not needing it anymore. We have some people who had been told to take allergy medications for asthma specifically because they thought it could be related to asthma or allergy symptoms. They no longer need to take that. They haven't had any random attacks. It is what I'm trying to say. Medications are not always necessary in terms of asthma and or allergies. Chiropractic care turns back on the nerve communication from the brain to the rest of the body, and it opens things up fully functioning. Let's see. Number 4. Oof, this one's one of my chronic ear infections. One of the main reasons that we see young kids is for chronic ear infections. And guess what? They're mostly, almost always, just prescribed round after round after round of antibiotics. And first off, that's not working if they have to keep going on round after round after round. But another part of that is that antibiotics kill all the bacteria in the body, including the good gut bacteria. And these parents are not being told to start their children on a pre and probiotic to help counteract the antibiotics. So many times we hear, and I remember growing up too, I was put on plenty of antibiotics for something, strep maybe, and diarrhea was just always a side effect. Maybe if we would stop killing off the good gut bacteria, the diarrhea wouldn't be a side effect. If we would just start prebiotics, probiotics to help counteract that. I know it's no fun changing a very wet, poopy diaper with a young child, or dealing with children who are learning how to potty train and they don't know how to quite control a diarrhea bowel movement. So if you find yourself stuck in the round after round of antibiotics, chiropractic makes a huge, huge difference with that entire cycle, because we are opening up pathways that need to drain instead of it just being stuck when there is fluid from allergies or a high inflammatory diet in these children. I mean, it is truly life-changing. And we just need to help educate parents on why chiropractic should be the first step with an ear infection instead of rounds of medication that don't actually take care of the root problem. And the fifth one is constipation or digestive issues. Kind of ties in to what I've already discussed with the antibiotics, but we are destroying the gut health. We are absolutely destroying it at such a young age, and we're probably not truly getting it back like it should be. Not only is that a big part of it, but with constipation issues, there is so much miscommunication or essentially slow communication that we are not seeing happen. We have people of all ages truly under care here for some type of digestive issue, whether it is constipation or the exact opposite, and they have chronic diarrhea issues where their bowels aren't slowing down the process and things are just flowing through them. Chiropractic will turn on the communication at a speed that is necessary, whether it's slowing down the communication so that things can actually function within the intestinal tract, or if it is quite literally turning on the digestion so that things don't get stuck and things can just keep flowing. That is something that we've had a pretty cool case of in the last few months, where a child was dealing with chronic constipation and just having like way too big of bowel movements for somebody their age and somebody their size. And once we were able to turn on the intestinal tract and the nerves to the intestinal tract with the adjustments, which are actually incredibly subtle. Like, she is not somebody that wanted to be touched because she was just always uncomfortable, right? Understandable. And so it's nothing like a big, it's just touch. We just need to stimulate some areas with some extra energy from an outside source. And it has been so cool to see her go through these changes. It has been absolutely crazy. So not only do we need to stop doing antibiotics so that we stop ruining the gut, and we need to start doing pre and probiotics to help support the gut to experience different digestion. When these people who were on antibiotics at a young age and then they didn't have proper bowel movements throughout the rest of time, they often see, as an adult, bowel resections, because that's the answer. If there's less bowel for stuff to get stuck in, you're going to be fine. Except that's not how it works. They usually, in the cases that I've seen, have more issues because they quite literally have lost part of their organs. All of that to say, we need to get out of the cycle of chasing diagnoses, hopping on the first pill that is supposed to fix the issues when really it only masks the issues, and we need to get down to the root cause. Honestly, we need to start educating more people on the fact that chiropractic needs to be the first stop, at least one of the first stops in someone's health journey for whatever issues they may be experiencing, and not the last stop. Not the last stop. All right. So I'm gonna recap. So ADHD, one of the first. Chronic ear infections, constipation, digestive issues in a whole, asthma and allergies, and I'm totally forgetting the second one. Ah! Anxiety and depression. So I know a lot of this was diagnoses that we see in childhood, but a lot of these diagnoses that they get in childhood follow them through middle school, through high school, into adulthood, when they're off to college and they need to start functioning, and they're actually at their own age to decide if they really want to continue medication. And if they've been stuck on medications or in the cycle of medications that whole time, they are not going to be able to know how to function without that as they try to become adults, as they try to figure out who they are as an adult out in the real world. Putting kids in the system of all of this from quite literally the minute that they're born has so many long-term awful negative effects as we get into seeing them as an adult. If you guys have any questions about why chiropractic, why not the medical system in its whole, please reach out to us. There is obviously a time and a place for the medical system, but they have put themselves in places where they just don't need to be. So thank you guys all for watching. Again, this is Dr. Lauren with Healing Touch Chiropractic, and we will see you guys soon. Bye.